listen, it's an Amethyst deck, right? We're talking about the big bads of the format. Like this is clearly the core of this deck.
Yes, being on the draw is very important. I was on the draw a lot, and it's a completely different deck. I think every deck in Lorcana, you have to have a game plan going first, and then throw that all out the window after you win your first game.
How much did Befuddle play in the Ruby Amethyst matchup? Feel like bouncing a snake on turn 2 or their one drop slows them down significantly and allows Maleficent and others to keep questing. Is that like just the general goal here?
Winning SCG Hartford was so great because
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Forbidden Mountain today. I'm sitting here with Robert Serpe. Congratulations on winning the SCGCON 5K. How are
thanks
you
so
doing this
much.
evening?
Great, great. Nice to see everybody. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So you played I mean, like not like this like unheard of seen combination of inks. We've seen Steel Amethyst actually being one of the most successful ink combinations in set 2. But your deck was definitely a little different. There's been a lot of chatter about how it performed, how it played differently, or how it should be played. But that's why you're here. You're listen. This is your deck. This is your time. We're gonna talk about how you liked it, how you enjoyed it, and how you came to play it. I think is most important. But let's take a look at it. Let's put it on the screen for everybody here. So you named it the Ami Steel Aggro deck, right? This is the list that you sent me. What did you most enjoy about the list here that we're looking at?
So the deck revolves around the first card there, Maleficent biding her time. Uh, just try to protect her. Quest as much as you can. Use Befuddle on turn 2. Play Pinocchio out there and Arthur to get some more aggression, and then grab it to refill, and Goats to finish him off.
I like it. So what I want to say is like just because even in your own intro you had mentioned that Arthur was a vital potential part of that, but in your list you're only playing one. So why are we only playing one Arthur in this list?
Great question. You quest for 3 has a lot of synergy with what you're doing, but has started them with 4, 3, 2, and now we're just one lone Arthur. It's the correct amount for this deck. Purple red has a lot more synergy with Arthur, with LeFou, to ready him up. In this deck, you have to quest and then snake to bounce him back and then replay him, which is very expensive. If
Yeah.
you have 2 Arthurs, they clog everything up, and you really only want this effect once. On turn 3, ideally. Later on, you can be a big threat, questing for 3, but I ended up cutting those slots for more Merlin Rabbit. Make the deck more mid-range as opposed to aggro. You have enough guys who quest for a lot, and I just wanted the diversity of the threats.
That's fair. I can respect that. Now playing the deck, you were very successful. What was your record in Swiss Day 1?
So I went. It was a how many rounds was it,
It was
Dan? It
8.
was 8 rounds,
Listen,
right?
nobody knew until we were there, but it was 8.
I know, I forget because they said 9, and then the judge told me to my face 7 rounds, and then
Right.
we go into round 7.
Yeah.
Oh, this is not the last round. We cannot intentionally draw here.
He did the
So
exact same thing to me, so I'm with you.
exactly, that was a very well ran event. That was
Yeah,
just a small little blemish on it, I
for
think.
sure.
I was 6-0 going into the 7th round, where I was able to intentionally draw twice. So
Yep,
then into top 8, we played 3 rounds, so a total of 9-0-2,
not bad.
undefeated record.
Zero losses, match
Yes,
losses. Did we
I was
take game
the
losses?
first seed going into Swiss,
Hmm.
and the only reason I was the first seed is because my game win percentage, the tiebreakers, was so high. I think it
Yeah,
was 80 something percent. I might have lost 3 games out
yeah.
of the 18
And there
or
were
so.
only two like true undefeateds, right?
In the Swiss, yes, are
Yeah,
coming out of it.
yeah.
Yes, because
Okay.
we both had 2 draws.
Right. That's what I was just making sure that that's where it ended up. So listen, it's an Amethyst deck, right? We're talking about the big bads of the format. Like this is clearly the core of this deck, right? We've seen this played with Steel, with Ruby, with every other ink that you wanted to name because that's how good it is. So tell me what the role that this plays in your list.
If you look at the list, which is it's a pretty much right here, it's all purple except 5 steel cards. One
Yeah,
of them is an alternative Olaf, Tiana. I like the dedicated waitress, the
fair.
diligent waitress, as opposed to the celebrated princess in this deck. Then with steel, you just have the steel songs. I think Strength of Raging Fire is really overpowered in this format compared to Smash because Smash costs 3, Strength of Raging Fire costs 0.
Hmm.
So that's just a good math problem for me. I
Yeah.
put in the Let the Storm Rage on, which is kind of a weird choice, but the idea is they're going to use their Merlin Fox, Madam Fox,
Hmm.
trade into our 1 attack creature,
Hmm.
and then it's sitting there on 2 health. If we can take that off the board, going into their turn 4, if we can clear their board, they can't Fox do anything else into us. That really slows them down. So just, and then the bodyguard Hercules there to sing the songs is really
Right.
all we're getting out of the seal package for the most part. Like you see here, it's just purple.
I was ready for it.
Yeah, there's the steel stuff.
I mean, obviously the big boy here is Beast Tragic
Mm,
Hero, but you did mention the Hercules as well, and I really like the idea here that in like your overall deck list, you know, singing songs isn't that complicated with Maleficent and Hercules. You're perfectly fine singing with either of those cards, I imagine. And then, I mean, once Fox does its job the first time, you can sing with that card too. So your 3-drop slot is really set up for those cards.
absolutely. I tend to view the bouncing cards, Snake and Fox, as like late game cards in this deck
Hmm.
because you see the other two, 1, 2, 3, like you said, were stacked. We try to sing on 3 and then do the bouncing, ideally with Goat or Rabbit later in the game. And
Right.
Beast Tragic Hero, you saw him there. He's just too good not to play.
Oh yeah. I mean, he really is just too good not to play, right? it's a
Hmm.
it's a perfect amalgamation. So, what I really enjoy about this list, and I want to hear more about it from you, but it has layers to it. You know, it's showcasing that you have this uninkable commitment early to really powerful, high lore, low cost manner, curve cards. And then you have this addition at the end here where you can still go to the end game. You can still kind of do the distance. You can win through bouncing, with your Arthur and goats, with your Mana Mims and goats, and then you also still are running a spell book here. So tell me about this deck in all honesty, like on the play and the draw here. Obviously, everyone likes to win die rolls, likes to go first. So I really want to hear about your play style on the draw.
Yes, being on the draw is very important. I was on the draw a lot, and it's a completely different deck. I think every deck in Lorcana, you have to have a game plan going first, and then throw that all out the window after you win your first game because you need a completely different setup. Your ink is different, your mulligans are different. People play the same cards and then they lose and blame the dice roll. I'm tired of that. On this deck, you play completely differently. A lot of times you'll just kind of pass turns 1 and 2. I know it sounds kind of weird. Maybe you'll set up an Olaf because he has 3 health. They'll just kind of live on the board.
Right.
You'll play a Pinocchio, not quest with him. They're playing their Olaf, bounce it for Snake. Turn 3, play something that sings. Then turn 4, sing with it and turn everything sideways. Then you can start to get 7 lore all at once. The thing about this deck is that we don't need to quest every turn. We can keep our characters readied and kind of set them up, then they'll get wiped out, and then we can just play threat, threat. Pinocchio, quest for 3, to me, he's extremely undercosted,
Oh yeah.
so he's kind of a late game card in this deck most
Yeah.
of the time. You're playing him on turn 5, 6. So the early turns going second to answer your question are to pass, try to take card advantage. Use Merlin Rabbit, Sing Friends, bouncing back. If we have 8 cards in our hand, our opponent can get up to 10 lore because we're not really interacting with their board as much.
Right.
But then we have so many cards, and we can just play 3 Pinocchios, 2 Pinocchios, Beast,
Yeah.
like Maleficent biding her time, Olaf. Like we're able to refill the board so fast that we can catch up
Absolutely.
12 lore in a turn, as opposed to the Amber Amethyst deck, which kind of quests every turn and is trying to keep the pace from the very start. This deck can go fast, but then we put on the brakes and then we go fast again. It's a very burst heavy deck as opposed to the aggro,
I
which is
think
kind of the first game plan.
I think there's even a lesson learned there, in all honesty, is that deck is a horrible matchup going second on the draw because it's probably really not adapting to what it needs to be doing. Where the same strategy you just mentioned, like the steel cards weren't even really a part of the equation, in all honesty. Like it's still the concept of like well, how can I be better from behind? Well, maybe I just don't offer up my Lilo and my Pinocchio to their Olaf, right? Like, just don't do that, and then pressure in later, force them to have alternative answers because every deck's, you know, we're seeing decks with 7 or 8 or 6 Olafs and Minnie Mouses and Tianas and whatever other 1/3 you can fit in your deck. So rather than just offering them up if you don't have the correct protection, you're better off probably waiting till that turn 4, like you just said, which I think is a great lesson for anyone to learn. Like, adapt to your style. Like, going second, yeah, it's not hyper ideal, but if you have a plan, then you can change scripts for sure. I think the one card here from a lot of the questions asked, and I really wanted to give you the opportunity to really, give this answer at full length. But how much did Befuddle play in the Ruby Amethyst matchup? Feel like bouncing a snake on turn 2 or their one drop slows them down significantly and allows Maleficent and others to keep questing. Is that like just the general goal here, or does
Everyone
it have
knows
even more?
at this point this is one of the best cards in the format. I think it should be being played in red purple control decks at a 2 of with 2 teeth. That's how I build that deck.
Mhm.
This card, if they go Olaf into Snake and then you befuddle the Snake, they can't Fox, they can't replay the Snake. They're forced to play a 1 drop on turn 3, which is not what they want to do. They can play Maleficent Sorceress, which gets killed by all of our songs, or they play a Surfer Mini, which is not impacting the board for us as an aggressive deck. We want them to play this evasive quester. Befuddle, clearly one of the best cards in the game. Inkable, Amber Amethyst is running 4, red, purple with Arthur. LeFou is often running this card and
Yeah, the more aggressive versions for sure. Yeah,
is extremely strong in the late game. You play it on your own snake. You can snake and then bounce something back, play it on the snake, and then reset your stuff.
yeah.
It's played on Pinocchio, and it gets a quest for 3. It's inkable.
Mhm.
My mulligan strategy is Maleficent biding her time. The problem with this deck versus Amber Amethyst is that they have 4 more Lilos. They get a lot more consistency. So I'll
Right.
mulligan 5, 6 cards trying to find Maleficent biding her time. The only other cards I would keep are this Befuddle. Because if you can have this on turn 1 and 2, it can just. It's perfect going second. It's perfect going first. My friends at locals have heard me rant about this card. It is should see more play.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's very punishing to the Amethyst strategy. It's something that people have really played aggressively towards themselves in their own strategy, and I do think it's very underplayed against opposing snakes. It is one of those where if you can just time walk them, essentially, and honestly, even in games where if you just bounce a Cusco back or whatever there too, it's also okay, like awkwardly in like aggro mirrors if you bounce their Zimba back, right? Like you're creating these like break points that they're not really prepared for in some situations. So I really like the versatility of the card for Sword.
Very
Okay,
strong.
so anyone that is hanging out for so far, if you haven't yet, make sure you hit the like button, hit in the comments. Let me know if you had any additional questions for Rob. We're gonna get into some little fun sections here before we go too crazy, but definitely hit us up in the comments. Let us know what's going on. So, Rob, we're gonna play a game, okay? And what I like to call this game is repeat after me, okay? So, um, winning SCGCON Hartford was so great because
Winning SCG Hartford was so great because I planned for a specific set of decks. And I faced all of those decks. Um, I was planning to see red purple and then hyper aggro to counter the red purple. And so I built a deck that goes under Ruby Amethyst and over Amber Amethyst. And all of my games were against those 2 decks out of 11 rounds. And none of the games were close. It was just the best feeling to queue up into your match. You go second, you go first, and your opponent just knows that they're countered. And the way that I played it was a great meta call. That's why it was so great.
phenomenal. That's great. So let's counter that. What is the what? The one deck I do not ever want to play against is
The one deck I don't want to play against is Amber Steel Songs with Lanterns specifically. Would They got the early singers. I have game into the steel decks. They can play Cinderella. We can befuddle it. but it's on the back foot the whole way through. They have Grab Your Swords and all the 3-cost songs. They can wheel us if we get too many cards in our hands. Don't want to face Amber Steel with this deck if you can avoid it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. After winning SCGCON Hartford, the one card I would consider taking out is
After winning SCGCON Hartford, the one card I would consider taking out is that fourth Hercules. It felt like a lot of Hercules. He actually was a key part. A last second decision was running into Kurt Spice, world famous best player in the world. Ran into him, and showed him my deck. He said, take out the Prince, put in Hercules, because you're missing the resist and the 2 quests, but he trades into Fox. And just found 4 Hercules from the back of his trunk 5 minutes before the tournament, and it was one of the best performing cards in the deck.
nice.
Sing songs, and it traded into that Fox. But 4 was a bit much. I'd like to see more. What do you think? Anything stand out to you? I've seen the Huntsman in this deck as a 2-cost option that's inkable.
Yeah,
Anything about this deck that you think could fit in that spot?
if I really break in, we'll look at the deck again here. It's very, like you said, it's the way that you have it designed, the way you have it looking. You know, I think a lot of people would consider maybe another song. I do think it's interesting. Do you think that there's any merit at all to playing your own Grab Your Swords?
Grab Your Swords on 5, very strong play. I don't hate the idea. I took some people said Whole New World as well, but we don't have a ton of great 5-cost singers. It's really the Beast who we want to keep
Yeah,
readied, but it could kind of hit somebody off guard as an uninkable card. But I could see what you're going for. Maybe a smash for the Hercules.
yeah,
Just a way to remove cards a bit faster, because when you're on that back foot going second,
yeah.
smash is a great card to counter their aerial. Maybe that's what we need.
Counter Ariel, counter Minnie Mouse, counter Arthur's. Anything that might end up being problematic, specifically on the draw, like you said. I think I can be with behind that. Okay, so we'll go back right, and my favorite card from Into the Inklands so far is
My favorite card from Into the Inklands so far was announced today. Robin Hood, the Sheriff of the what is he? The hero champion of Sherwood.
yeah,
The 5 mana 3/6.
yeah.
Looks like he has a lot of potential in purple steel.
Mm.
Maybe not the aggro version, but combo him with Blue Fairy as a bit of
Hmm.
a mid to late game control card.
Do
I'm
you
looking forward to
also
that.
like the 2-cost uninkable Robin Hood that pings?
I am a fan of him in general. I tried him a lot. He's very good when you go first and win that dice roll. Going
Yeah,
second, and you're on the back foot, you feel like you can never really exert
he's
under this.
definitely a card you don't want to see against, right? Like he's very good against you.
Yeah, if you can just kill my Pinocchio while he's ready, I'm toast.
Like, oh, there's the Maleficent. That's cool. Oh, there's my Pinocchio. Yeah,
But I
that's
feel
awesome.
bad to shift a Robin Hood on top of him. I don't want to
Yeah,
sacrifice that card. He's so powerful.
yeah. I think that's the cool thing about. Well, it's the cool thing that the shift Robin Hood is inkable, right? So that's great. But shift in general is a nice mechanic that when we need it, like if you need to, for that design, I do agree with you. It's a little bit different of a deck, a little more controlling. But now you're talking being able to come in, play grab your swords, or come in, remove a character from the board, draw a card. Like it does give a little more versatility. So what I like about the option is that I'm going to have this card that probably dominates the early game, and then follow that by a card that I can utilize to kind of recover and be that mid range winner in this middle turns, which I think there's not enough of in the game, especially when Tinkerbell was so dominant in that spot in set one. It'd be nice to have more options than just Tinkerbell. I don't know what to say. I like the answers though. I like the answers.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that a lot. Inklands has a lot of cool cards. Just announced today a bunch of them.
What else?
Just
So
2
yeah,
weeks away.
tell me something. Well, what are
I
some of your favorite cards so far?
So Jim Hawkins just seems like Value City.
All right.
Play him on 5, get a free location, move there for free. So that's 4 or 5 ink worth of value for free. Then you
Right.
play another location the following turn. I'm thinking maybe Tiana's Palace on the
Yeah.
following turn, your turn 6. He goes there for free. Then he can quest and he can't be challenged. I
Yeah.
like Jim Hawkins a lot. I think they're really slow rolling us on the best locations. There's
Yeah.
going to be one RLS Gallic, his ship.
Right.
Um,
Do
it
you
was
think it should
announced.
be just to be a location, not like an item or anything like that?
That's a good point. It was announced in those league alternative kind of win conditions to get league points at your LGS. I
Mm-hmm.
wonder whether it will be a location or maybe something to support him.
It's fair. It's fair. Yeah, it's tough to say. I think it's cool. I think he's one of the cooler cards. I'm with you though. I think if I had like 100 cards now, which means there's still 100 more to go. There's still probably way more excitement to look at. So I'm hopeful that we definitely get there and get some more exciting cards for sure.
Me too. A lot of cool stuff already and more to come with the Inklands.
All right, so we have a little game we like to play on the podcast. It's called Would You Rather. So I'm gonna give you two options, and then you're gonna choose me. You're gonna choose an option, and you're gonna tell me why. So our first choice is: Would you rather Morph or Ursula?
Ursula Deceiver every time. I think Morph is too fragile. He's very adorable as a little space goo, and he has a lot of potential, but he's so vulnerable to so many things, and you can't do anything when he enters play. I'd rather have the Deceiver. She's got 3 HP, can survive to sing all of Emerald's best 2-cost songs, thinking Sudden Chill there to combo with the fact you take their key song, then she sings a song on the follow up turn. Maybe Prince John comes out. Ursula Deceiver looks really powerful.
So you do think that Ursula is a potential turning point for Emerald decks?
I absolutely think that card is very strong. It can be played in purple with the snake and the fox, the Madam Mims to replay that ETB effect if you notice more songs in their hand.
Hmm.
Or I think you could bring Lemon Lime, the amber green. Uh, it's already a strong deck. I saw it got top 16,
Hmm.
and at that 5K, I could totally see that deck getting more and more powerful as they release more of these discard cards.
Okay, I can respect it.
And obviously, Morph has an excellent upside.
Oh,
You can't sleep on that.
for sure. Choose one. This is actually from the Discord, so shout out to the Discord. Map of the Treasure Planet or Voyage?
I like the map of Treasure Planet because most items that they've released have been kind of greedy, like very
Mm,
expensive. You have
right,
to have 7 ink for the lucky dime. He's uninkable. Pay 2 more. This card actually gives you ink as value for the rest of the game.
right,
So as long as you're playing locations in your deck, there's some synergy with this card and Motunui, the
for sure.
blue card, which costs 1 to move there. So with this Treasure Planet out, it costs free. And right before their Be Prepared turn, put all your cards there. They Be Prepared and it all goes in the Inkwell. So in a kind of aggressive deck, if you can move all your guys to a location that gives them some type of benefit, like Tiana's Palace, where they can't be challenged, or the Maui's Island of Exile, where they get resist,
Right.
that seems like a great trade.
So at this point, we've only seen half the set. Are you already seeing the building blocks of the potential for locations within Into the Inklands?
Locations, I think it's going to be the cards that synergize with them, like the map, which makes them cheaper. Right now, they look very expensive to me. Paying 3 ink for a location and then 2 ink to move somebody there, and then you get 1 lore. I want the ways that make them more easy to access to
Hmm.
be the focal points of the deck, like Gym and the map and the Voyage as well. That card is a great tempo play, while the map is more of a long term control play. I wonder how they'll see the most play. Have you had thought about the locations we've seen so far and seen how you could put them in a deck and actually make them work?
Yeah, I think my biggest problem with them right now is the fear that you're losing tempo in general. Like you're putting something into play, hoping they don't have an answer for it, getting a minimal thing back in response. I think we really do need more when this character moves to a location, do X, whether it's draw a card, whether it's ready. I think that would be a really interesting thing. If you could quest with a character, then move it to a location to ready the character so it's protected in a way. If whether it's when this moves to a location, gain rush. I think like the characters where it's like when it moves to location, gain strength. That's just like not even worth it. In all honesty, for most cases, like you're kind of just paying additional resources to get a card that you could already have. Like, and I think that's kind of a big problem. So I really do think we need like just more synergy of characters that when they move to locations, you get something, or like when this character quests from a location, get an additional thing, like some real motivation to being on a location to really make the cost of moving toward it a little bit better. To make cards like Voyage, like John or
Yeah, Jim Hawkins.
yeah, Jim and Map of Treasure Planet, like to make all these cards like a little more enticing. You need we need to start seeing that other side of the game. I think I'm very hopeful that we get cards like this because it's the only way that I think they're gonna have a chance. So we'll have to
Give
see.
us the sauce, the Forbidden Mountain. I want to move all my characters there and just win
And
the
just
game.
just just because it's cool, like
It is. I
it's
do
cool.
see it down below.
All right, one more. Choose one: Milo Thatch or Jim Hawkins. I have a feeling I
You've
didn't know the answer to
Yeah,
this.
you've heard I'm a space traveler enjoyer. Milo Thatch being uninkable is a major cost, and I don't know how are we banishing our own cards so that we can bounce AoE their whole board.
Yeah,
I like the idea you can shift them out, but any
yeah.
quest for 3? But I wish there was more, if there's a way to banish your own character, but that's pretty hard to do in green. I
All
like
right,
Jim.
we'll change the question. Which one of these do you think is most likely to be enchanted?
Ooh, Jim would be really cool, but Atlantis has a cult following. Everybody loves Atlantis. I
Yeah,
saw the other green card, Helga.
yeah.
She could be an enchanted.
She looks pretty cool too. Yeah,
Yeah, I think she could be a top tier enchanted, maybe above Milo.
yeah. I could see it. I could see it. It's tough though because I do think it's one of those cards where I don't know if we really go down the rabbit hole of saying Ursula is very important to Emerald. I do not think that Milo is at all what Emerald needed to be successful. And here's like an honest question, right, for me to you. Like, if that card was inkable,
Mhm.
it's clearly better, but is it still like? Would it really make it that much more playable?
They had to. The little Milos are not that great. There's the one
Right.
mana 2/2 and the red
Yeah.
2 ink 2/2 that gets +3 location. Like you said,
Yeah.
it's a kind of underwhelming effect. Uh, there's got to be more synergy. There's got to be something else to get you to shift for 7, maybe a 7 cost song for green that does something really cool. But
Yeah.
singing Be Prepared is not really good synergy with your
No.
expensive shift.
No. Yeah, I have to agree there. Yeah, I don't know. He just feels like he's a miss. And not to mention, like in the current meta game, like he might even be helping your opponent. So like,
Yeah, they Maui rush in, deals 4
yeah,
back, and then
like
comes to
oh,
your
I'll take
hand.
out your guy, and then you can just have him back. You're like, okay, like I'll lady trimming you, and you can just have him back. Okay, like yeah, I don't know. Weird, especially goats, rabbits, all that stuff. They go back, you get additional things anyway. Not not crazy about Milo, not at all.
Hmm. Yeah, not yet.
Well, sir, I've had an incredible chat, and congratulations to you one more time here. This is pretty cool. How surreal was it to actually like get that trophy, hold the trophy, kind of enjoy that?
It was just great meeting everyone. And I feel like the most surreal moment was maybe meeting TFM Dan on the sidelines, and we were both at the top tables, and I was like, "Yeah, we're both doing well, cheering each other
Yeah.
on." That's the kind of camaraderie I want to see in as we go into the Inklands. Lorcana, I feel like is on the growing side of things. These tournaments for cash and pride, uh, notoriety are really cool, but once we get organized play and official Ravensburg sanctioned events, I
Mhm.
think we'll really start to see casual players, competitive players. A lot of people go into your store. Did you see the Rockstar Stitch?
Yeah, of course. Who didn't? I mean, who didn't?
I got to see some of those in a trophy case, or would you sleeve them up and play them in your deck?
I don't know. I have a problem sleeving enchanteds right now as is, so probably not.
I'm excited for stuff like that. Some people sometimes I see like Enchanted Cinderella. I'm like, I got to concede right here. Not just because you counter me, but because that card's so gorgeous.
You're big baller. It's cool.
Exactly. So that was the most surreal part, is just having fun. I mean, I got a miracle run where I chose a deck that countered all the opponents that I face. It would have been toast the second I faced Amber Steel, but I kind of dodged them all. It
Yeah,
was a lucky run, but now I got to meet you, go into your Discord, link down below. Here I am on the TFM channel talking with you guys, answering some of your cool games and questions. I'll be in the Discord and looking forward to more tournaments. Maybe SCGCON Philly be coming down
definitely. I mean,
down
I'll be
here.
there. I'll be there. I mean, I live here, so.
Heck yeah, yeah. Okay,
I
I'll try to defend my title.
There you go. I do want to give you a little bit of time here. Talk about tournament preparation, because I think we were talking offline, and you're telling me about your general week in Lorcana. So let's just give somebody give a little rundown of your general rundown in Lorcana each week.
Yes, I go to 6 local game stores per
Hold
week,
on, one more
all
time.
around.
One more time for that, for
Yeah,
everyone
six.
listening, in case they didn't hear you.
Yeah, every weekday, 3 weekdays plus Saturday, Sunday, and there's one on Saturday morning and one on Saturday night. I'll go to my local game store, hang out with everyone. We'll discuss our decks that we brought today, kind of play some practice games, do some trading, uh, complete their play set, collections. A lot of times there's families and everybody's trying to just have fun, feel at the game store,
Mhm.
play in a tournament, 3 or 4 rounds. If you go undefeated, you get a cool pin and like a Cinderella promo card. Maybe get Bucky or
Yeah,
Minnie Mouse, the diver, and then head home. It'll be about 10 p.m. Load up Pixelborn, and we kind of discuss how the games went
yeah.
with some of our friends in like a Discord channel, and then look all day while I'm at work. Keep refreshing the spoiler page, looking for the newest cards to try to
So many.
innovate, stay ahead of everything.
Yeah, that's great. I do think it's really cool because it really just shows that sometimes it's not you wanted to call it a lucky run, right? And like that's fine. I like the humbleness of all, but the dedication and the effort that you're putting in to put yourself in the position to be on a lucky run is that's something that people need to understand too. It's like yes, you can say that hey, I predicted the meta well, I played well, it was all great, but you got to know that whole side story of you're playing 5, 6 days a week, if not more, if you include your Pixelborn, whatever you're doing on the side, that's a true commitment. And it's a true, that really makes the payoff of Hartford even more to know, hey, I'm doing everything on the right, I'm on the right track. And I think that's admirable, to be honest.
Getting good games against good practice partners is the best way to learn. Every single time I face someone, it's how does this card perform? I'll kind of watch one damage from Tiana's a 1/3, and how is this damage that she does going across the board and affecting the game?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not until you do that a couple times you can really see what this card's doing for your deck. Little things, bigger things. Going to 1Ks and 2Ks tournaments helps see what people are playing at the tournament, how are they winning, checking out the TFM videos. So many great content creators,
Yeah.
Lorcana villains, and all the Discord Pixelborn players on 20 Lore Pro. I'm always logging into Twitch streams and chatting and asking questions. You got to learn from people better than you, new players. That's the only way to do it, and it's so much fun. I love Lorcana. I think
It's
it's so
funny.
deep. I think that the format's very diverse, and anybody has a chance to win with any deck. Uh, Excited for what's to come.
Yeah, that was great. I was gonna follow up question, but you just did. You answered it, so you just knocked it out of the park. Just gone. So thank you, honestly, thank you so much for coming on. Again, anybody in the comments has anything for Rob, definitely hit him up in the comments. I'll let him know if I'll poke the bear, and he is in the Discord now, hanging out too. So thank you so much. Congratulations again on your incredible win. I love the deck. Actually, I'm sleeving it up this weekend. Spoiler alert: I'm going to play it in a 1K this weekend. No one knows; they might see this or not. I don't really care, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And thank
That
you.
Allentown,
There you
Allentown,
go.
PA.
Where I'll be.
Good luck.
All right. Thank you again so much, and we'll catch you guys in the next video.
Thank you for
See
having me. See you next time.